letter. As honorable contribution to Nigerian peace.
I want all of now look at what happens in Nigeria. When we want to take steps every day to make this country a better place.
Education is telling them it's time to change.
All colors, shades, angles, and perspectives can be overwhelming in our present world of information overload. This is introducing Ground Zero. Ground Zero is a current affairs discussion phone-in program covering topical issues in the polity. The program is a platform for an in-depth analysis of trending issues by professionals, authorities in various fields, analysts, and key actors in the polity. Ground Zero gives the listener an opportunity to contribute to the discussion via phone call, SMS, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. From the conservatively serious to the ridiculously funny, Ground Zero accommodates them all. Professionals, urban contemporary businessmen and women, policymakers, public service workers, students, artisans, traders, and the in-between. Ground Zero comes up on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays 4 to 5 p.m. Ground Zero. This program is exclusive to Invicta 98.9 FM. Tune in.
Nice and lovely Saturday right here in the Croc City of Kaduna. It's time for the Never Dull Moment program on Radio Ground Zero, the program where we pick up topical issues in the polity, we analyze them so that you can have a better understanding of all of these issues. And today is not going to be different, as we'll be looking at some top trending issues in the polity, something that I'm sure you'll be very, very interested in being a part of, okay? And guess what? We'll be talking about the fuel price increase, and we'll also be talking about the new 1,000 Naira development levy in Kaduna State. But meanwhile, you can be a part of the program by going to our various social media handles now, because the post is already up there, and it would be nice if I have you add your voice to our conversation this evening, okay? The various handles are at Invicta FM 989. That's a Twitter at Invicta FM 989. Just go to the Invicta FM Twitter handle where you would see the video stream of what's happening in the studio. Yes, we are streaming live on Twitter at Invicta FM 989. Okay, you can also go to our Facebook page, Invicta FM Facebook page. The video is also streaming there, and it's Invicta FM Kaduna. Yes, that's a Facebook handle where you'd see us, Invicta FM Kaduna. The post is up there. It would be nice if you also add your voice to the conversation. Let's have your thoughts. Let's have your suggestions. You can generally be a part of the program. Now to the program specific handles. You can join and add your voice to this program today at Ground 0989 at Ground 989. Yeah, so first you go to the Twitter handle where you get at Ground 0989, and also watch us live at Invicta FM at Invicta FM 989 Twitter handle. While on Facebook you can see us at Invicta FM Kaduna. Yes, at Invicta FM Kaduna. The post is there. Also add your voice to it. At some point in the course of the program, we will open the phone lines so that we can hear your voice. You can talk to us. Okay, let's go straight to looking at what we'll be talking about in details today. We'll be looking at the fuel pump price increase. Is this one increase too many? Nigerians react. That's the first snippet. The second snippet is Kaduna to begin full implementation of 1,000 naira development levy in 2021. These are the snippets. And my guest on the program today, I have two of them. One is already seated, and the second guest will join us any minute from now. The guest that's already seated in the studio with me is Yusuf Goje. He's a public affairs analyst, and he's with the Coalition of Association of Leadership, Empowerment, Peace, and Development, CALPED. I hope I didn't mix it up this time around. Yes, Yusuf Goje, you are welcome to Ground Zero.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Gloria Kasang-Bulus will join us any minute from now. She is from the Bridge the Gap Initiative and also the chairperson of the Network of Civil Societies in Environment. Yes, whenever there's an increase in fuel price, there is an impact on the environment. Okay, when she comes in, we would also be looking at all of that. But let's look at details of what we'll be talking about today. Following the increase in the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, many Nigerians yesterday reacted to the development. With the latest hike, petrol price has increased by about 4 times in 2020 alone. It has increased from 121 naira 50 kobo to 123 naira 50 kobo per litre in June, and from 148 naira 80 kobo to 143 naira 80 kobo in July, and 148 naira to 151 naira in August. Following the deregulation of petrol price in September, marketers across the country adjusted their pump price to between 158 and 162 per litre to reflect the increase in global oil price. However, again, just yesterday, the pump price of petrol was hiked after the Petroleum and Product Marketing Company, a subsidiary of the federal government-owned NNPC, that's Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, increased ex-depot price of petrol from 147 naira 67 kobo per litre to 155 naira 17 kobo per litre. The PPMC, Pipeline and Product Marketing Company, in an interview, in an internal memo with reference number, plenty long figures, dated November 11, 2020, and signed by Tijani Ali, said the new ex-depot price would take effect from Friday. That was yesterday. The ex-depot price is the price at which the product is sold by the Pipeline and Product Marketing Company to marketers at the depot. With this, we know what it translates to. The bottom line is that there is an increase in the price, and it is as a result of deregulation, and this new increase is sanctioned by the government. That's the summary of it all. We'll look at the second item, which is Kaduna State to begin full implementation of 1,000 naira development levy in 2021. The tax law in Kaduna State mandates every adult residing in the state to pay 1,000 naira annually as development levy. The Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service said on Wednesday that it would commence full implementation of its proposed 1,000 annual development levy on all adults resident in Kaduna State in 2021. The executive chairman of the agency, Dr. Zaid Abubakar, said at a news conference in Kaduna that as from 2021, every adult residing in the state will be made to pay the levy in line with the provision of Section 9, Subsection 2 of the Kaduna State Tax Codification and Consolidation Law 2020. He added that the law mandated every adult residing in the state to pay 1,000 annually as development levy as their contribution to transform the infrastructure of the state and reposition the economy to meet the yearnings of the people. Well, that's that for that. We'll come straight to talk. And while we were looking at the details, Gloria Kasang-Bulus walked into the studio. Like I told you earlier, I said she's already on her way and will join us. So, Gloria, you are welcome to Ground Zero.
Thank you very much, Ehiz, and I apologize for coming late.
No problem.
It was due to unforeseen circumstances like the usual, or due to technical issues.
Okay. All right, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go straight to look at these items. We start from the first one, the increase in the pump price of petrol. And the big question is this increase one increase too many? Yusuf Goje, we'll start from you.
Well, this is actually not a very good time to be a Nigerian, considering where we find ourselves. But for the hike, I think it's something that all of us should know. It is bound to happen because when you say you remove subsidy and you allow the price of crude oil, petroleum to be determined by the free market, then it means that definitely the prices will either be fluctuating up or fluctuating down. But again, it is the responsibility of the government to see to the welfare of its citizens, and that is what the government swore to. So I don't think at this time people should actually be bearing the brunt of what government should have addressed from the beginning. I would recall that during the campaigns, the government promised to build is it one refinery each year? Yeah. And again, the thinking is that they should have foreseen this kind of situation where one day subsidy will be removed, and if we only had local capacity to refine, we wouldn't be in the mess that we are today. So there's no excuse now that the government should give. Yes, it's a necessary step to take, but again, on the premise on which they were voted into power, we shouldn't be where we are today as a nation. So for me, I think there should have been alternatives. This happened sometime March or so when the petroleum sector was deregularized. And again, from then, they should have known that this will happen. And they should have either delayed, because Dangote refinery is coming up on board. Yeah. They should have either continued with the subsidy till then, or the removal of subsidy, which they said generated about ₦1 trillion for government, should have been also channeled to preempt and proactively ensure that there is a cushion for this kind of uncertainty in terms of increase in crude oil. So I think the government must take full responsibility for this, and it's not an issue where we blame COVID-19 or we blame global oil prices, but the government saw by the constitution to provide the welfare needs of the people. And if you check probably further into the constitution, you see how it is also said that whatever government policy that will be coming up should be in the best interest of Nigerian citizens. Yeah. So it is a great concern for any Nigerian coming at a time that COVID-19 has hit hard on the economy. In fact, the World Bank is already saying that we are going into our worst recession over the past 40 years.
Wow.
And if you look at the numbers, even recently, I think the Vice President even admitted that about 5 million people or so will be going into poverty just this year. So if you look at this, then look at the electricity hike, look at the increase in VAT, look at a lot of policies that are triangulating the economy and even citizens. Look at insecurity that has practically stopped agricultural activities in a lot of communities, especially in the north, that provides the food that feeds the nation. So you should know that the government should come up with a solution. This is no time for excuses, because what will happen with the NSAS protest will just be a tip of the iceberg if government does not address these social issues that would emanate from all these increases. And don't forget, there is food inflation. And anything that affects oil affects the economy generally, as it affects the local man, especially at the grassroots. Yes, we at this level, we can speak big grammar, we can talk GDP and all that, but the ordinary man does not understand that. All he wants to see is that he has a source of livelihood and is able to feed and cater for his families. He doesn't have the patience to hear all this analysis that government will be coming about will be bringing out to defend such policy at such time. So it is probably the right step at the wrong time.
Okay. Let me come to Gloria. We know that every increment will affect the family in one way or the other. And whatever affects the family will ultimately still, the government will still face some backlash from the family at the family level. Now, the regulation of the petroleum sector resulting in increment, is the regulation supposed to be for increment alone? Because I know that globally, the cost of crude oil, which ultimately, when refined, becomes petrol, has dropped drastically. There does not seem to be a reflection of that in what's happening presently in Nigeria. So the big question is now to Gloria, our deregulation, is it for upward increase alone? I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Ehis. Now, for this deregulation, it's supposed to be a two-sided thing. But just like Goji has said earlier, I want to write on what he said. Usually when subsidies will move like this, and then we expect that, okay, it's a free market. And so when, I think what they envisaged was there was going to be quite a lot of competitions coming in, and so new refineries will spring up and a lot of businesses, oil companies will come up, and so because of the competition, it will make maybe probably the prices will go down, and then but unfortunately it is not happening now. And just like Ngoji has said, probably this is the right step at the wrong time, because now nobody will want to move at a loss to do any business at a loss right now. And so when such happens, it will take a while before you begin to see probably if the those prices of stuff will go down, or probably it will go up. It will take a little while, because for me, if I'm a business person, I'm in the oil company, first I will try to make all the necessary gains as much as possible within the first period to take advantage of this upward increment. And so what happens? So it's either I begin to enjoy it and I continue riding on it for so many years, or probably with time when competitions come. And this can only be broken when we have other alternatives. If these alternatives are not there, then what else do you expect? So now, where are those refineries that we're expecting to spring up in different locations, or is it one per 4 years? And this is about 6 years gone, or 5 years, 5 to 6 years gone, and we haven't seen even one, not even a skeletal, structure or something. Or probably there's already a plan on ground that we are not aware of. But it's one thing to have a plan on ground, it's one thing to see them execute it. So to the common man on the street, where are those refineries? And then to the common man on the street, he doesn't understand what is happening, and all he knows that you have inflicted hardship on them, and so how do they deal with it? And so it will take a little while before it balances. It might never even balance up for us. That's the truth about it. Because I noticed something in Nigeria, when prices go up, it keeps going up and never comes down. So what do we do about it? And like Goje has said, this is now the time for the government now to come in and see what they can do about it. Livelihoods will be affected whether we like it or not. The prices of stuff will go up a lot, and so families are going to suffer. And I bet you, you were talking about if Nigeria is targeting ending poverty as part of the SDGs, it will not be visible, because already the government have inflicted hardship on the people. And what do you expect? The poverty rate is going to increase. And so we should expect the worst coming in, because as the poverty rate increases, we expect more crimes, we expect quite a lot of we are talking about insecurity, we are talking about banditry and a lot of things. Now we're going to expect worse when the hardship continues. And so it's something to sit down and look at it. Is this the right time that we're doing this? Even with the way COVID-19 has already hit us so hard, we've not recovered from COVID-19, from the impacts of COVID-19, and then we're faced with this. We have not even recovered from the electric tariff that has actually gone back to the way it has been. And so a lot of things are coming out at at the same time. And so when you wake up, you just see people having heart attack and stuff. And so I mean, so it's a situation we're facing now that at the end of the day, we expect quite a lot of heart attacks. It might not be the physical heart attacks, but they'll definitely come.
Okay, I'm still staying with you now. Yes. It's very important because I know that you have a passion for the environment, and as is it the chairperson of Network of Civil Societies in the Environment? Coordinator. Mm-hmm. Chairperson, coordinator, chairman. Is it not the same? Okay, now, when there is an increase in the pump price, so many people that probably were making use of these products to take care of their household stuff would now resort to some other forms of cooking, boiling water and stuff and all of that, which ultimately means they will now start to cut trees down and all of that, which will affect the environment. Now, looking at the bandwagon effect of this increment on the environment, what's your take on that?
Well, it's quite worrisome because if you see what I see, or you understand what I understand or what I see, then I think it's going to be a very huge slap on us. Unfortunately, Nigeria has signed into the Paris Agreement. Nigeria is part of it, and it has its own. It's part of the NDCs. And so then, how can you be a signatory to the Paris Agreement, and yet we are facing this in the country? Now, what does the Paris Agreement say is to cut down emissions. Is to cut down emissions. But now with what is going on, we are only increasing those emissions, because just like you said, if definitely the cost of cooking gas will go up, the cost of kerosene will go up, the cost of petroleum has gone up, and quite a lot of things there will be increment on every side. I bet it with you. And so with this increment, what do we resort to? We resort to very cheap alternatives that are readily available for us. So I mean, what do you expect? So once we go back to those alternatives, we are as well increasing our emissions. And for me, are you thinking of using those now? For us environmentalists, I think by the time we start speaking to people on how to use better alternatives, or how to keep the environment use clean energy sources, I'm very sure maybe somebody might just slap us on the streets because it will be very tough for us to convince people on that. Are we looking at the hardship on them, or it will be as if we're not being human on that? Yeah. And so some of all these efforts that Nigeria is making based on its commitment towards climate change will be back to square one, and which is really very unfortunate, and it doesn't speak well on us as a nation. But then we're not only talking about the environment. The most important thing is livelihoods. How will people cope? What will happen? What next for the common man on the street, for that person in the rural community? And I just, if you notice now, I think there's been quite a lot of things going on social media about onions. Onions has turned to gold and stuff like that. Yeah. And so you begin to wonder what has happened. Around this period, we're supposed to have onions readily available. Yeah. And so these are questions we need to ask ourselves. Why are these things happening? This goes beyond climate change. And so these are some of the regulations or whatever that's happening around in the country are equally affecting it. Yeah. Our transport system will definitely be affected. Quite a lot of things will be affected. Now, if you do not have enough money to probably, or access to seedlings, or you can't even go to your farm because of banditry, quite a lot of factors are working up against us in this country. And like Goje said, this is the time you begin to question your identity. Oh my God, why did I come? Why was I giving birth to in Nigeria? But then it's not for us to run away, it's for us to stay and fight the good fight. Okay, now Goje, all said and done, is there anything good that can come out of this increment? Impact on the economy or Nigeria's anything? Can anything good come out of this?
Well, the idea is to save the money that goes for subsidy and reinvest it in bettering the lives of Nigeria. So the question is for this long, because I know it was not included in the 2020 federal budget, the subsidy. So it means from January to November or to October, what evidence can the government show that the monies that they have saved from subsidy has improved the living standard of Nigerians, because it's also about a trust issue. These are economic factors that might not make sense to the ordinary man. But yes, removing subsidy, if you look at it from the economic sense, considering our high debt profile that is over 30 trillion naira, and we cannot continue to borrow to develop, saving 1 trillion naira would make sense. But it's not only about saving 1 trillion naira. Where is that 1 trillion naira? Is it where can we see evidence that this is where this money has gone into, and this is how it is impacting the lives of people? Then we need to see government say, okay, yes, this is a hard pill that we must swallow, but we are going to provide palliatives in terms of transportation. How can government invest more money to ensuring that people get free transportation, then free alternative in terms of energy? Because it is you're calling for more of a calamity when you increase fuel and you increase electricity at the same time. Because the ordinary businesses that would not see 8 hours electricity to do business will now have to spend more to buy. So it means small businesses that should be the lifeblood of our economy will be dead, because many of them have already gone out of business as a result of COVID-19. So it means with this time, because you can't predict the market, the more the market continues to determine, the more you would not be surprised that by January we might be paying 500 naira for a liter of fuel. So we need to see that the government is forward thinking. What solutions are they having in mind? Because right about now, we need to see a focused government. 2023 is already being a distraction. So we need to see them focus on providing those cushioning effects. If they know they can't provide those cushioning effects, then the best option is to bring back our subsidy.
All right. You're listening to Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM. And today on the program, we have just looked at the fuel price increment. And Nigerians are reacting. How is it going to affect the economy? How is it going to impact on the livelihood of people? After the commercial break, we'll be looking at the 1,000 naira development levy that Kaduna State will start to implement right from January. Keep the dial locked on Invicta 98.9 FM. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back from that commercial timeout. And before we took that break, we looked at the fuel pump price increment. Right now, we'll be looking at the proposed full implementation of the Kaduna State development, the 1,000 naira Kaduna State development levy in 2021. The levy is for every adult in Kaduna State. So, levy is something that's common and that's not new to Nigeria. And I know that some other parts of the country where I grew up, there had always been levies. For Kaduna State, it's about the first time we are hearing about this, or this is coming to place since my stay in Kaduna State, which is about 27 years now. I've never heard of any levy. Now we are hearing about levies, new and strange to so many people. Now, the levy. First, how important would we say the levy is? Yusuf Goje.
Well, from the name, development, it's actually something that we all desire. And at one point or the other, it will beckon on us to take responsibility for that development.
Yeah.
So I think in itself, as a concept, a development levy makes sense. And I'll give an instance, and it has not always been very popular. When Awolowo was the Prime Minister of the Western region, when he introduced free education, he actually introduced a levy.
Yeah.
That was mandatory for, I think, adults then in the Southwest to pay. And as of then, he was pelted, he was booed, in every location he found himself in the southwest. But because development is long time, today the southwest is actually being recognized for the achievements around education and what have you. So in itself as a concept, it makes sense. And for Kaduna State in particular, I think it has been there as a law, but it was only 100 naira and it was not enforced.
Okay.
So what the government had done is to review it upward, and now talk of enforcing, and now talking of enforcing it by 2021. But you cannot also divorce this issue with what we had discussed with the fuel hike.
Yeah.
Because for one, when government is actually bringing a policy or a law like this, there are certain things that should be factored into reality, and one is were the people widely consulted? Because the people that would be paying this levy should not be paying it out of compulsion, because there is a law. And for a state that has signed into the Open Government Partnership, common sense would have only demanded that there would have been widespread and robust stakeholders engagement to actually get to know whether citizens are in the right position to pay that 1,000 naira levy that is being imposed.
Yeah.
So it is one area that I think the government should have been more circumspect, because even for some of us in the civil societies that have followed the laws, policies, programs and plans of this government, it came as a surprise to just see on the official handle of the Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service that the tax codification law has been reviewed and amended. Until now, not many of us have even seen the content of that law, only for us now to see the announcement that there is a development levy. But the development levy we should not also mean that we must pay it equally, because we have to also factor that all fingers are not equal, and the development that people would need in the urban area might not be the same kind of development that people in rural communities will need. And again, we should not also forget that I'll give an instance. Recently we paid an unscheduled visit to one of the schools, private schools in Kaduna State, and the teachers told us that since when COVID-19 started and they locked down their school, they had not been paid till now. And even
private schools.
Private schools. Okay. And even now, they are still saying they are not sure of getting their full salaries, because the schools cannot request parents to pay for full school fees. So somebody that has not received salary for almost 7 to 8 months in a year, that is trying to put his life back to order, we are introducing development levy in January 2021. Have you also factored in the price of food in the market? Even now that the harvest is going on, soya beans is almost like 17,000 naira per bag. Wow. We are talking of maize that is fluctuating between 11, 12, 13,000. At a point in time, I think it was up to 15,000.
Yeah.
So if we are bringing these kinds of policy, I think as desirable as they might seem in theory, practically and realistically, there should have been deeper and wider consultation to know whether people are in the position to actually pay this. Because what will end up happening is that you might push people to the wall, and you might bring about a lot of social backlash.
All right. I'll come to Gloria now. When we are talking about payment of levies and all of that, they said for adults, yes, whether you pay your tax or not, as long as you are resident in that environment where the levy is applicable, you must have to pay, whether you paid your tax or not. So now this levy, if we have the father, the mother, and probably a couple of adults in a home that are over 18 years. I wouldn't know if it's 18 years they captured as
20,
or 21.
18.
Now, it means that the father would pay, the mother would pay, and even the grown kids that probably are still in school, not working yet, over 17.
Yes.
That's over 18 would also pay. Just like you said, as desirable and as beautiful that development levy is, wouldn't it amount to multiple taxation of a family or multiple burdens? Let me use the word taxation now. Multiple burdens. Yeah, I can use taxation. Levy is a form of taxation on the families. How do you think families will cope?
Well, when I saw this on social media, the first thing that came to my mind was, how will this be executed? What methodology are they going to use to collect this money? You understand? And so maybe that explains why there was the what do they call it, the residency registration, or was it the card that was supposed to be done in Kaduna State. But it's quite unfortunate that people that this is happening at this time, and people do not have deep understanding of this. And I have been opportune to travel to different countries, and I have seen how this is done. Fine, there is nothing wrong with having tax or levies or whatever, and it all depends. But first of all, is the system working? That's what we're supposed to ask. In countries or states where you have this kind of tax or levies, you know that the system is working, and there are a lot of things that have been put in place. And let's say, for example, in the United States of America, every state have different amount for their tax. There are some places that is just 7%, some are 5%, and not on everything every item has tax. There's some food items or educational materials that do not have tax. Yeah. And so most times we tend to adapt things from places that are working, and we try to bring them in. But then we have forgotten that our system is not programmed to work that way. There are a lot of things that we need to get done. If you look at it, the people on the southern part of Kaduna are screaming. Why? Because development has not reached the front of their house. Yeah. It has not reached them. And so they have always had that mindset that the government is biased and so many things are working up against them. And so going back again to the other side again, I bet it with you, if you do an analysis, you find out that there's a lot of poverty around that area. And so it is not balanced. This side is shouting that development has not come. The other side is suffering from poverty. So you cannot compare the poverty rate on that side and on this side. So either way, it does not favor any side. So if this side the southern side feel, yes, there have been development in the northern side and they have not gotten development, then they should go ahead and look at the poverty rate on the northern side. And if the northern side feel, oh, they have gotten development, their streets are being painted or colored or whatever, black and white and stuff like that, we have beautiful street lights and a lot of good things are happening on the other side. Then on this side that we do not have those things, if I cannot have access to the front of my house, I mean, why should I pay the 1,000? And you see, some of these things that we put in place is what triggers a lot of issues. Just like the NSAS protest, what triggered it? And so I know some people took advantage of the NSAS protest for their selfish reasons, but some went for good reasons and they could actually justify why they were out for the NSAS protest. Are we actually calling for another protest? Or which it would, for Kaduna to have such a protest, it would be very disastrous to me, because I know that probably it would be like a fight between the citizens and the government. Yeah. So there are lots of things that we need to look at and put in place before we begin to put up this kind of policies or levies or whatever. And then looking at families, just like you said, the multiple taxation. For a family that has 10 children or 7 children, the mother, the father is there, and probably even the grandma or the grandfather is there, aunties and whatever. Over 10 people in that particular household that can barely feed themselves, and they are paying 1,000. I know the hardship that a lot of families are facing. It will take us a long time to come out of this COVID-19 impact. We haven't even finished the COVID-19. The fuel itself came again, and also electricity tariff came again. And so what does that mean? Livelihoods, just like we have said earlier, Goji and I have said, food is being affected. So I have not eaten, and you're telling me to pay 1,000 naira. I mean, so some people are saying to hell with the development. They do not read the development if they have to pay the 1,000. But you see, when things are going on well and you ask someone to pay a particular token, the person will even say, can I add more? Because he knows that that amount will be channeled for a good purpose.
Okay, I believe that for me, let's give the government the benefit of the doubt, knowing that they have good intentions and good plans towards the citizens, and also looking at my background where I grew up, being comfortable with paying levies.
Yeah.
Very, very comfortable with paying levies. So to me, it's not strange. But of course, the present economic reality, how would people take it? 081 40,989, 07087 and Invicta FM Kaduna on Facebook, and at Ground 0989 on Twitter. Let's take our first call this evening. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Joe from Goningora.
Say again.
Joe from Goningora.
All right, Joe. Let's have your take on this.
Sincerely speaking, thank you, your guest, for speaking the mind of so many Nigerians. But for me, this taxation that the United States wants to come up with will bring what we don't want in Kaduna. And so,
all right, Job. Maybe you may want to call back. Just put your thoughts together and well articulated so that we can get to understand what you're talking about. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
hello, good evening.
Good evening. You're welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. You're welcome to Ground Zero. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you. Francis from Kaduna.
Francis?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's have your take.
Thank you. Honestly, your guests have spoken well. And I want to talk on this development levy of fee that passed as a law. To be frank with you, these are evidences that shows that our government, to our leaders, somehow are insensitive to the plight of the citizens. Because just like your guests have said, they will travel outside the shore of Nigeria to go and copy something that will only benefit the government, not masses. Because where these things are being done is where the citizens' actions drive, in fact, the dividends of community. It's not far from them. They enjoy every aspect of human life. Sir. Hello? Good evening, sir. I want to appreciate the guests here in the studio. They have done well and they have well spoken. My name is Macdamian calling from Kudembe. Talking about the issue on ground, let me not start with the first one. If we talk about the increasement in fuel price, you know, Greece have this kind of situation. Although they always know about fuel, when inflation hit them, there are kind of policy that they implemented there to reduce this inflation that is affecting them there. But in Nigeria, we don't have all these agendas. The government doesn't have any agendas to implement how we're going to reduce inflation. What they think is what will bring income. That's the reason why they all first of all they think of how they borrow money. Because if you don't have any agendas on income, the only thing that you think of is borrow money. And let's assume the last administration of Jonathan, when they bring the issue of subsidy, Jonathan could remember he imported cars into the country. I don't know whether you could remember them. That government support program, something like that, and to see whether they will use it to reduce the cost of transportation and cost of living in the country.
Yeah.
But this present administration, at least if I'm in their shoe, if they want to remove subsidy, and they know that this subsidy they are removing will be to result to inflation in the country. What I'm thinking for them to do is that they can even import all these electrical cars, solar cars, so that you reduce the rate of inflation in the country.
All right.
Because the masses are suffering. You understand?
All
they
right.
should think of how they will import solar systems in the country, so that even though they increase the electrical people will understand. But there's nothing like that. There's no slogan like that. And people are that. No, it doesn't work like that.
All right, thank you. Really, your time is up. Let's get to take this other call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. You're welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Christian. I'm calling from Sabo.
All right, Christian, quickly in 30 seconds, let's have your take.
Okay, it's a wonderful discussion this evening, and your guests have said it all. What I have to say is that I think we the people of Kaduna, or we the Kaduna South, I think we are exempted from that levy of 1,000. Because why am I saying so? There is no development.
You cannot say there is no development in Southern Kaduna. It may not meet your expectation, but sincerely, if you search yourself, check yourself, it may not meet your expectation, does not mean that there is no development. Like we always say, let us be factual. We shouldn't just call a dog a bad name to hang it, right? Let's take some other call, and our last call this evening. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Hello, good evening, sir. He's on your guest.
Yes,
I'm the Texas man.
30 seconds, please. Let's quickly have your take in 30 seconds.
In fact, your guest, there are two guests that need an award because they have saved the minds of almost all the 200 million Nigerians. For me, what I want to ask is that why is it that the Dangote refinery is on now, and our refineries are not working? We are still exporting crude assets. We import them back. How would they calculate that one? And on the issue of Kaduna 1,000 naira levy, as I'm speaking to you here now, since 2002, sir, up to today. In fact, even the credit I'm speaking now, I brought it just now because I'm interested in this very program. 18 years, nobody has paid a single kobo. The whole thing has been scrapped down. So how are we going to do now? Think the government should think how to bring the Nigerians back to standard.
All right.
Make sure they create employment, and then everything is going to on board. Then we can even pay more than, as your guest has paid, we can pay more than what they even say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, that would be the last call we'll take today. Let's quickly go to our social media page, Facebook specifically, where we have Steven Joseph saying, good evening, he's and the guest in the studio. The incessant fuel pump price increase by this administration proves how insensitive the government is to the plight of the citizens. Well, those at the helms should remember that 2023 is just by the corner, and posterity will remember them for all the hardship meted to the people. This is not what we bargained for. God bless Nigeria. And Eddie Snow is saying, good evening, Peacemaker, and your guest in the studio. Increase in fuel pump price is an indication of carelessness of government towards the citizens. It's obvious that suddenly both the federal and state government are incurring injuries of taxes here and there at the point when the gravity of COVID-19 is still much affecting the masses' livelihood negatively. Anna Ochai is saying that 1,000 development levy is what I don't understand. How will the money be paid? We are watching. Kelechi Ike Ocha is saying that the government did not have the pool, pool in mind. Let them know that there is not in this world, whether good or bad, that God will judge us well. Why Chidek Sam Aboko is saying good here, his and the guest on the increment of fuel. This is not the right time for this. Now that we are coming out of COVID-19 because of the fuel hike, price of everything has gone up. It is the poor masses that suffer it. God bless Nigeria. Lawa Kolawole is saying that fuel price increase is unfortunate, and Nigeria is a funny country. Our leaders need to do the needful. People are suffering. May God help us. Finally, Kayode Adegbite is saying that fuel price increment and 100 naira levy during the previous administration, it is patriotic to rise and condemn every unfriendly policy of the government. But in this present one, it is even unreligious to challenge any unhealthy step taken by the authority. Very unfortunate. Why must people like us be born in this kind of unjust nation? That's your opinion. God have mercy, Comrade Kayode Adegbite. Those are comments from our Facebook page. We'll quickly check our Twitter handle at ground0989 to see the comments that we have there. Okay. Like I always say, we love the likes, we love the shares, but we would greatly appreciate your comment and post. Your comment on every of our posts. Well, let's take our parting shots because we are really running out of time. We have barely 2 minutes to wrap it all up. So I'll start from Yusuf Goje. If in 1 minute you can give us your parting shots.
It is said that the people don't care about the vision of the leader. They only care about how the leader cares about them. And I think that is what the government should put in mind. For the development levy, I think it will be difficult to convince people to pay because the development we are seeing is urban renewal. And if really we want to address poverty, we need to build rural economies by providing the needed infrastructure for rural economies to survive. Where are the feeder roads? How many feeder roads that affect the farmers in the at the grassroots? Where are they? So it's not about crossing flyovers and what have you, which largely will be for the elites to admire. We want to see how development is inclusive, where infrastructure is taken to the people at the grassroots so that they can also build and grow their businesses. And also there should be transparency all around it. We need to see that these levies are now as transparent to the level that you know what each local government pays and what each senatorial zones pay, so that you know that when you pay, you can measure whether what you are getting as development is commensurate to what you are paying, because the development levy is already a law. Unless if we will start advocating for its repeal, it is something that we have to live with. But in doing that, citizens must wake up, ensure that we hold government accountable. It is not enough to only complain on media and social media, as it were. We must begin to really ask these questions, follow these monies as it's being spent. Kaduna is highly indebted. We have collected the World Bank loan, and we need to focus on how to see that every kobo of it is spent as it should be. If not, this government would also go by 2023 and we would be left with the burden. And for fuel hike, I think the government needs to do more in ensuring that our refineries come back and they give out a lot of palliatives in terms of market stabilization, in terms of food prices and transportation.
All right. And to Gloria, what would be your parting shots?
For me, what is worth doing should be done well. The government is for the people, and the people should be considered first in every decision. And that is where there's something we call dialogue, there's something we call negotiation, there's something we call stakeholders engagement, where we will have robust consultation on some of these decisions. And so we need to consider the people, we need to consider their plight, we need to consider their situation. Development is good. There's no harm in paying levies or paying tax. But then, is the system working? What do we have on ground? And if we pay this tax, will it be channeled to the right? Will it be channeled for the right cause? Will the people benefit? And then, how can the government and change the mindsets of people to understand that this could be done? It's for their own good. How can the citizens be carried along that for every dime that comes in the name of development is channeled towards development? And how can we have equity? How can we have how can this be evenly this development be evenly distributed across all boards in the state, which is really very, very important. It's when one side is feeling cheated or the other side is feeling privileged, it's a very, very wrong notion that it will be tough to correct. So I think first things first is to get the things right, and then before we can think of any levy, and then also the methodology for collecting this levies, actually, I'm very interested in that. So I look forward to 2021 and how we'll begin to collect those levies and then I want to call on the civil society and even all the citizens to see how we can chase this money if actually it comes in place in 2021. Thank you.
Yes, and that's about the size of today's package of the program Ground Zero. On Tuesday from 5 to 6, we'll be on again for another edition of the program. But between now and then, like always, I would say to you, plant a tree today, water it, and watch it grow. May the good mighty Lord bless and keep us all. I am Ehis Adon, the peacemaker with a passion for crowd satisfaction. The program has been Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM.